o le matematika I tausanga 10 ia 10 mathematics. Tanga I mai lunga I le watu ina atu e le tato strand o le tato strand masani o le numbers and operations o le ala fua mua lava lea o le matematika tausanga 10 o le substrand, number sets and number lines. Ia tato wanga ia tu nala atu ina atu lunga. Ia le mea ato tato mta upu. Le nau tu ina atu lunga la tato mta upu le ni tai au ia 10 mathematics. Strand 1 po le ala fua mua. Numbers and operations po numera. Ala fua lango pe tu ina atu I foi, number sets and number lines. Major learning outcome. For this lesson, students distinguish between rational and irrational numbers. Ravai ngolo umata itu ilimta upule nei ole nei tai au le tatole sona. Ina ia mawhai ele wha nau ona tu ese ina ma la to loa le ese nga. O tu ai ngā numera nei o rational ma irrational numbers. So let's have a look at rational numbers and irrational numbers differences. Rational numbers, these are the numbers that can be expressed as fractions of integers. Peona avatu whataita inga examples. 0.75, -3, and 1/5, etc. Irrational numbers on the other side says these are numbers that cannot be expressed as fractions of integers. Examples: √5, pi, etc. Also in rational numbers says they can be terminating decimals. And irrational numbers says they can never be terminating decimals. Elemafai. Na via ilato only terminating decimals. Rational numbers still, they can be non-terminating decimals with repetitive patterns of decimals. Example given: 1.414414 has repeating patterns of decimals where 414 is repeating. Irrational numbers, they are non-terminating decimals with no repetitive patterns of decimals. Example: √5 equals 2.2367974799896964099173 has no repeating patterns of decimals. Also, rational numbers, these are the set of real numbers which contains natural numbers, whole numbers, and integers. And irrational numbers, these are the set of numbers that are not rational numbers. Example: that are not natural, whole, or integers. Activity: adding and subtracting rational numbers. Tato woia wili ili, lefa au popo maleto ese o rational numbers. Atato tele ia oye, fai mai. The process of adding and subtracting rational numbers can be done in the same way as fractions. E te tusa leile whaupopoina po le tō eseina o rational numbers ma vai ngā mea. To add or subtract any two rational numbers, we make their denominators the same, and then add the numerators. Pai mai, a tātou o e whaapopo, pe tō ese, so o se rational numbers lava. E tatau iai tātou ona. Whaatutusa o la denominators. Denominators o numera nei e pito i lalo o se vai ngā mea. And then add the numerators. Ona whatu awha a popo lea o numerators po numera nei e pito i lunga o vai ngā mea. Example 1. Subtracting rational numbers. Lewa avatul whatu e te inga mua muale nei le tō ese ina o rational numbers. Tasi o vai lua po le awha, tō ese, pui pui, negative, po tō ese. Lua vai tolu, pui pui. Half minus bracket negative 2 over 3 bracket. Gives us half plus 2 over 3, or 1 over 2 plus 2 over 3. Le tanga i mai ei, o le wa o mai I, ua whaupopo lea, le sain. Pol whailoilo lea, pol whailonga lea, leo tato titilo atu, pol whailonga o le whaupopo. A le sa au mai mō mua. O tō ese e lua. O whailonga tō ese ni e lua le papena na e titilo mai e te maiti. Because these are two minus and a negative here. How did we arrive to a plus sign? Subtracting a negative number of integer, it is the same as adding a positive number. E te tusale leile to e senga o le negative number o le integer lea, leile negative. Male, whaapopoina o se positive. Positive number lewa iele e positive le 2 over 3. So half plus 2 over 3. Alefa mai, the denominator should be the same. E te tau ona te tusa ia denominator snake. E whawhewhea ona tō ese, e te tau ona wha te tusa mua ia denominators lea, o maka aku e kisi lanu mumu. O mele step lua, 1 over 2. O le ase numera e wha atele le lua lea, ina ia te tusa i o la denominators ma le tolu. Then we say 3. So 3 over 3. 1 over 2 multiplied by 3 over 3. Plus, this is the plus sign here, plus 2 over 3. 2 over 3 here. So if you foi lea, o le tolu le denominator o le lua vai tolu. O le ase numera mawhai ona whaatele I le tolu le nei, ina ia mawhai ona te tusai o la denominator ma le lua le iere tasi o vai lua. Then we say 2. 2 over 2. How we place the 2? We place it in this way. Lua o vai lua, pe ona iere tolu o vai tolu. Come step 3. So 1 over 2 multiplied by 3 over 3 plus 2 over 3 multiplied by 2 over 2. 3, 1 gives us these 3. 2, 3, 6. Paatele le lua lea. O na mawala i o le tolu lea. Paatele le pito i lalo lea. Maua le ono. Then we move on to the next. Plus here. 2 over 3 multiplied by 2 over 2. We multiply the numerators and the denominators. 2 multiplied by 2 gives us this 4. 3 multiplied by these 2 gives us this 6. So now we know and we can see the denominators are the same. Delawa wawa ai mai e whanau. O lewa tutusa ia numera ia pito i lalo vai ngā mea nei or denominators. Tolu o vai ono, wha o vai ono. O lewa tutusa denominators o le ono. Then he says, then add the numerators. Ona whaopopo lola ia lea o numera pito ia i lunga. E whaopopo sa o lava pe atutusa o la denominator. Gives us 3 plus 4, 7. And 6 denominator remains. E tu mau pe ale denominator lea ole ono. O le tato tali la lea whana. Ne o wawa ai atuai. I lunga laupapa. Fitu o vai ono. O le tali le na o le tasi o vai lua. To ese. Le pui pui negative 2 over 3. So this is the answer, 7 over 6 for 1 over 2 minus bracket negative 2 over 3.
So we have 0.79 minus 4/3 minus 1/2 plus 150%. So we have 4 different numbers written in different formats. Here it's a decimal, here we have 2 fractions, and then here we have a percentage. So the easiest thing to do would be to write all of these in the same format. And for me, the easiest format to do this computation in would be to write them all as fractions. And the reason why I wanted that in particular is because 4/3, when you divide by 3, when you divide 1/3, 2/3, 4/3, you're going to have a repeating decimal. So to avoid that, I want to put all of these, I want to rewrite all of these as fractions. So let's do them one at a time. So 0.79, this is the same thing as 79 hundredths. So I'll just write it that way. So this is the same thing as 79 over 100. Then of course we have minus 4/3, minus 4/3. Then we have minus 1/2, minus 1/2. And then finally, we have, I don't want to run out of colors here. Finally, we have 150%. Well, 150%, percent literally means percent, per 100. So this is plus 150 per 100, per 100. So now we've written them all as fractions. And in order to do all the subtraction and addition, we have to find a common denominator. So what's the least common multiple of 100, 3, 2, and 100? Well, 100 is divisible by 2, so 100 is actually the least common multiple of 102. So we really have to just find a least common multiple between 100 and 300. And that's just going to be 300. There's no other common factors between 100 and 3. So let's write all of them with 300 as the common denominator. So let me do this in this reddish color. So 79 over 100 is the same thing. If I were to write it over 300, to go from 100 to 300 in the denominator, I'm multiplying by 3. So I have to multiply the numerator by 3 as well. So I'm going to multiply by 3 as well. Let's see, 80 times 3 would be 240. So it's going to be 3 less than that. So 240 minus 3 is 237. Now, 4/3. Well, to get the denominator to be 300, we have to multiply the denominator by 100, so we have to multiply the numerator by 100 as well. 1/2, if our denominator is 300, we multiplied the denominator by 150 to go from 2 to 300, so we have to multiply the numerator by 150. And then finally, 150 over 100, Well, we're multiplying the denominator by 3 to get to 300, to go from 100 to 300. So we have to do the same thing in the numerator. So 3 times 150 is 450. So now we have the same denominator, and we can now add our numerators. So this is going to be equal to, actually I could just do it right over here on the right-hand side. This is going to be equal to some stuff over 300. So it's going to be 237 minus 400 and minus 150, and this actually should be a plus right over here. This should be plus 450, plus 450. And so let's see if we could simplify this a little bit. We're subtracting 400 and we're subtracting 150. So these two would be the same thing as subtracting 550. And then we have a positive 237, and we're adding it to a positive 450. Or actually, maybe another easier way to think about this is negative 550 plus 450 is going to get us negative 100. And so this simplifies things a good bit. Now we have 237 minus 100 is going to be 137. So it equals 137 in the numerator over 300. And this is about as simplified as I can think of making it. And so this is our final answer, 137 over 300.
Tato atu sisi whateiteinga. Ora whateiteinga muli fo lea. Whateiteinga lua. Adding rational numbers. Tato voi whaopopo ia rational numbers. 3 over 13 plus negative 5 over 13. Since the denominators are the same, so this 13 remains as the denominator of these two fractions. 3 over 13 plus negative 5 over 13. Make the denominator 13 as they are the same. E se fulu tolu le numero pito I lalo le vaenga mea ona o le tutusa. Tutusa le lua lea. 3 plus negative 5. We have a bracket here. Olo o yele bracket lea. If I fair, ona whaopopo le negative 5 lea I le bracket. So in between the plus sign and a negative, e multiply le lua lea. A multiply la le positive ma le negative gives us a negative. So 3 minus 5 over 13. So 3 minus 5, tolu to esele lima e lima 5, so that's a negative 2. So gives us the answer, negative 2 over 13. Since 3 minus 5 is equal to negative 2, we arrive to that answer. Therefore, 3 over 13 plus negative 5 over 13 gives us negative 2 over 13. Ia o tatale sona na whana.
79% minus 79.1 minus 58 and 1/10. And I encourage you to pause this video and try to compute this expression on your own. Well, the thing that jumps out at you is that these are in different formats. This is a percentage, there's different representations. This is a percentage, this is a decimal, this is a mixed number. And so to make sense of it, it's probably a good idea to get them all in the same format. And it seems like we could get all of these into a decimal format pretty easily. So let's go that way. So 79%, that literally means 79 per 100. As if you wanted to write as a fraction, it would be 79 over 100. But if you wanted to write as a decimal, it's 79 hundredths, which could be 0, or we'd write it down as 0.79. Now, 79.1 is already written as a decimal, so we'll just write it again. So minus 79.1. And then 58 and 1/10. Well, 1/10 is the same thing as 0.1, so you could view this as 58, well, and literally as 1/10. So it's minus 58 and 1/10, or you could view this as 58.1. 0.1. So now they're all in the same format. Let's actually do the computation. Now the first thing that jumps out at you is you have a fairly small number here, small positive number. It's less than 1, and you're subtracting fairly large numbers right over here. So your whole answer is going to be negative. And to make sense of this a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a negative sign. And that'll make the computation, or at least in my brain, it's going to make it a little bit easier. So if we factor out a negative sign, this becomes, so we're going to factor it out. Actually, let me just do it this way. So we could, if we factor out a negative sign, then this would become negative, this would be positive, and this would be positive. And just to verify this, imagine this distributing this negative sign, or if this was a -1. -1 times this is positive, -1 times this is negative, -1 times this is negative. So these two expressions are the exact same thing. And the reason why I did that is now we'll do the more natural thing of we will add these two numbers, we'll get a positive number, a larger positive number than what we're going to subtract from it right over here. So we could kind of use our traditional methods, and we can't forget about this negative out here. So let's first do that. Let's add 79.1 plus 58.1. So 79.1 plus 58.1. So a tenth plus a tenth is 2/10. 9 plus 8 is 17, so that's 7 ones and 1 10. So 1 10 plus 7 tens is going to get us to 8 tens, plus 5 tens gets us to 13 tens, or 130. So we have 137.2 is this part right over here. So 100, let me write this down. So we have 137.2, and then from that we can, adding a negative 0.79 is the equivalent of subtracting 0.79. So let's do that. Let's subtract 0.79, making a point to align our decimal points so that we're subtracting the right place from the right place. And now let's do our subtraction. So right now we're subtracting 9 from nothing. We could write a 0 right over here, but we still face an issue in the hundredths place. We're also subtracting a 7/10 from 2/10, so that we're going to have to regroup a little bit in the numerator in order to subtract, or use, at least in order to subtract using the most traditional technique. So let's take a tenth from the 2, so it's only 1/10 now, and give it to the hundredths. So 1/10 is 10 hundredths. So we could subtract that. 10 hundredths minus 9 hundredths is 1/100th. Now in the tenths place, we don't have enough up here, so let's take 1 from the ones place, so that becomes a 6. 1 is 10 tens, so now we have 11 tenths. 11 tenths. 11 minus 7 is 4. We got our decimal place. 6 minus 0 is 6, and then we got our 13, right, just like that. So when I computed all of this inside the parentheses, so outside the parentheses I still have the negative sign, but when I computed all of this inside the parentheses, I got 136.41, and then we can't forget about the negative sign out here. So this whole thing computes to negative 136.41.
So maiti, o le tatou le sona na o le ni aso.